Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fitaurus' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu today we've got Caladrius Blaze for the PlayStation 3. In addition to my usual Shoot 'em Up Saturday where I'll just go and be playing through some of the stages, I'll also go and be doing more of a formal import review of this title so you can go and decide if you're actually interested in going and picking it up for yourself. Since it is a relatively recent release and thus very readily available at this point. First off, Caladrius Blaze is developed by and published by the shoot 'em up company Moss. Other titles that they've released that you might be familiar with, primarily the Raiden series of shoot 'em ups, Raiden 3, Raiden 4, Raiden 4 Overkill for the PlayStation 3. So if you like games like that and the other titles that they've developed, this is would hopefully already go and be on your radar, but maybe it's not one that you're necessarily familiar with, since it hasn't gotten a Western release and nor has it been announced as a potential Western release yet. But at any rate, to go and begin with a little bit of background of the title, Caladrius Blaze is essentially the definitive version of the Caladrius series. Well, not series, the game itself. The first title was released on the Xbox 360 back in 2013, I believe in spring, and then later that year there was an arcade port released in fall of 2013. And then fast forward about a year later after that and we go and get essentially the definitive edition on the PlayStation 3. So, what kind of flavor will it have? Let's find out.
Caladrius Blaze, released by Moss in 2014. Let's go ahead and fire it up. First we go and get a downloadable content check. There is, if you're interested in picking up this title, you should be aware that at this point there's only one piece of DLC that's been released for the title. It's an 8-bit soundtrack pack that's available on the Japanese PSN for 500 yen. So, just so you're aware that that's the case. Alright, here we are at the main menu of Caladrius Blaze. So first off, we've got several modes. The main one, of course, is your story mode. Then we also have a boss rush mode, which becomes available after you've gone and defeated all the bosses in the game. Or maybe not quite all the bosses. I'll get to that in just a second. There's also a score attack mode, which is standard fare for these kind of shooters. Tutorial, which, to be honest, I don't really feel that there's a need for it if you're the least bit familiar with these kind of games. Leaderboards. Gallery to go and view unlocked art and background music, voices, and profiles that you might have gotten unlocked. PlayStation Store, that link will only go and work if you're playing on a Japanese account, otherwise it'll just go and fail on you. And the option menu. Since this would go and be an import for, I'm assuming, most of the people that would go and be watching this video, I'll go over real briefly how I feel about it as far as import purchase, how good of an import purchase it is. First off, even if you go and don't speak or understand Japanese, the menus are almost in their entirety, the main labels are in English, as you can go and see here. So it's not really hard to go and figure out what you're going and looking at. And the same holds true with the options. In the game setting, everything, admittedly it's simple as far as what you have set up, but here you can go and see life, bomb, illustration, all the labels are in English. Some of the settings themselves might be in Japanese. Real quick, I'll go and cover the illustration. This one you've got 3 different options, and if you're interested in going and turning off all of the illustrations, which I'll go and cover in a second, it would be the option furthest to the right that you could go. Then you just have your standard controller setup for going and setting up your control scheme. Screen settings to go and adjust, to go and get your screen set where you want it to. Sound settings. Oh, nope, I don't have an option for any other sound pack because I haven't picked up the DLC. And credits, of course, but you'll get those if you go and complete the game anyway. and an option to install if you want to go and install the game to your hard drive to go and increase loading speed. For the most part, I don't feel that's necessary. I feel that the loading time is really reasonable between stages, so nothing to worry about there. So we'll go and jump right into story mode. So you've got 3 game modes in story mode. You have original mode, which is based off of the original 360 version. The evolution mode, which is new and unique to the PlayStation 3 release, and then the arcade mode. The original mode and the arcade mode are slightly rebalanced from the original versions, but for the most part they go and remain pretty true to the original content, with some notable exceptions. With the original 360 release, there were only by default 3 playable characters. Then there was a 4th that was unlockable, and 2 DLC characters that were available, that were released and available later. All those characters are available from the get-go in the Caladrius Blaze release, and it even adds an additional 2 characters that are playable as well. So, we'll go ahead and go with the PlayStation 3 specific mode, the Evolution mode. Now here you've got standard MOS pre-game setup, so you can go and start this game from any stage that you've gone and already completed. So, since I've gone and completed through the end of the game, I can go all the way through stage 5. You can go and decide if you want to do 1 player, if you want to go and do 1P, if you want to go and start on the 2P side. Synchro goes and how to go and describe Synchro. Synchro goes and gives you 2 ships to go and control. The main ship that you are, and then you go and also pick one of the additional characters, and you go and play, and that ship will go and do a mirror image of everything you do as far as movement's concerned. When it goes up, and you go, let's see, when you go down, it goes down, you go left, it'll go right, and vice versa. Then duel is definitively for 2-player, but if you're going and playing in story mode, you can go and have a second player drop in at any time, just as long as you're not in synchro mode. And actually, maybe you might be able to have a second player drop in even when you're in synchro mode. But anyway, I'll go ahead and just go with the 1P side here. So you've got the stage that I went and mentioned earlier. Difficulty settings, starting all the way down at practice. Very easy, normal, hard, very hard. I wonder if there's anything beyond that, but I honestly don't know. For today's review, I'll just be going with normal. Then you've got damage, no damage, so you can go and basically make yourself invincible, but I'll be leaving that off. And then just the demo mode. That's for the events that happen in between. If you're not interested in the story at all, it would probably just make sense just to go and turn those off, but for our purposes, we'll leave them on. The start will go and take us to the character select screen. Alright, so here we have the ability to go and choose between the 8 characters. Each character has a different kind of shot pattern, and they also have individual there's a special kind of shot or 3 special kind of shots actually, that every character goes and has, in addition to their bomb also going and being different. So there's actually a lot of variety to the characters themselves, and their gameplay, the style of which you go and play them, goes and changes up depending on who you go and play. And they also have a element that's associated with them that's, not as important, but it's definitely notable. So you've got Alex Martin, who's represented by the element fire. You've got Kay Percival, who's represented by wind. You've got Maria Teresa Bloomfield, whose element is earth. Those are the 3 characters from the original game. In addition to them, you've got the 4th character from the original game, the unlockable, Caladrius, whose element is light and uses a homing shot. It's definitely pretty awesome. Then there's the 2 DLC characters, Sophia, Falconicelli, her element is water. Then the other DLC character was Nightmare of the Lilith, or maybe just simply Lilith, and her element is dark. Then the two new characters that are specific to the PlayStation 3 version Blaze, you've got, let's see, Noah Twinning, who's represented by the element tree, or life, which, you know, it's kind of weird that they call it tree. And then, let's see, Lias Nahe, or Naje. I'm not 100% sure. Oh yeah, it would be Naje. Sorry, I just looked at the Japanese for that one. Anyway, rather than trying to figure out the English. Who's represented by Steel. Who do we want to go with? I think, for the sake of being able to go and show off as much as I can of the game, we'll go ahead and pick Sophia for this playthrough. And I'll shoot for... Let's go and shoot to go and like get through stage 3. I think that would be a reasonable point to go and call this video. You also get the option to, well, it depends on the character, but you can get the option to go and customize your setup of the Elements shoot system, basically the special shots that each character goes and has. I'm going to go ahead and skip over this and just go with the default. So we'll just go with Customize Shinai, which is don't customize, basically. So, from the point of going and importing this title, there are visual novel-like scenes and interactions between the characters. Some are voiced, some aren't voiced. It's kind of up to you if you'd want to go and, like, skip over these. There is, like, you know, there is definitely story there, and but it's kind of on the light side. It's one of those things that you could easily go and skip over and not really be going and missing a whole lot. Although, especially going and looking at it from the perspective if you're going and playing the synchro or the two-player mode, there's some rather fun and actually humorous stories that they go and throw in depending on which characters you're going and picking. So you could definitely go and enjoy this game thoroughly without going and understanding Japanese, but it's I think you would get a little bit more out of it if you did go and understand some, but it's not necessary. It's still a blast to go and play regardless. Here we are, the first stage, the Uncanny Playground. So, it's your standard... Caladrius Blaze is basically your standard vertical scrolling shoot-'em-up, done in a 3D engine, so all the enemies are modeled in 3D, and as well as your character ship in the background as well. And as far as the mecha design, it's got this interesting, kind of like futuristic but gothic mecha design to it, since it's taking place kind of in this medieval world with alchemy and that sort of thing. In fact, as far as that's concerned, the character that I'm going and playing, Sophia, is actually an alchemist, so... But the mech design and of the ships is definitely one of the highlights, I feel, of the title itself. As far as the enemies and the way that the patterns are, especially once we go and get to bosses, it's definitely very much a bullet hell shooter. More so on the boss side than the actual stages themselves, but some of the later stages can get kind of hairy with how much it's throwing at you as well. Since this is the first stage, even on like normal, they're still going and taking it kind of easy. Alright, here we are at the first boss, Irisu. So far, so good. Alright, now I'll start going into the elemental shoot system. So, as I was going and mentioning in the when I was going and briefly introducing the characters, each character goes and has, in addition to their main shot and their bomb, they have 3 different kind of special shots that you can go and use. Like this interesting like Gatling cannon for her. Well, they each have power represented by various crystals in the bottom left of the screen there. Once it's expired, you have to go and wait for it to go and regenerate. There's so this is another really fun one for her, kind of homing laser that goes and twisting on itself. And then her third elemental shot is actually a shield, which is great because it goes and cancels out just about any of the main shots, going and making those bullet hell sections far easier to go and play. That's primarily the reason I actually chose to go and play as her, so I can just go through the shots, no worries. Alright, sorry, I was just going and like listening to the story for a second there. It looks like I forgot to go and change the settings back to default before I left the settings screen. It's kind of a little bit unfortunate. Oh, sweet! I managed to go and complete the first stage without any loss of life, so I got the bonus result screen background there. It's a little bit on the like etchy side of things, definitely. Okay, the elemental shot system. You actually gain ether chips experience through outgoing and completing the stages, so you actually have the ability to go and level up your weapons depending on which ones you want to go and level up. For Sophia here, I feel, especially early on, the best ones to go and level up are the, let's see, Mercuric Bind and the Acid Reaction, so I'll go ahead and dump points into that, but I'm actually gonna pop back out to the options menu real quick and change something. Real quick note as far as importing is concerned, even though the buttons for confirm and cancel are displayed as circle for confirm, X for cancel, the game does go and conform to the system settings on the PlayStation itself. So if you're going and playing with a US PlayStation, I did go and turn those off. My bad. If you are playing on an American PlayStation, the confirm and the cancel buttons won't actually go and be what it's showing on the screen itself. A little bit on the confusing side. And then sometimes you get silly stuff like backing all the way out to the start menu that way. I'm sorry, I completely forgot to get that setting set correctly. So we'll go ahead and start on Crimson Porter, since that's where we are at in the story. Once again, I will choose, well, I guess we can go and pick a different character since we're back here at the start screen. I will go with Maria this time. Doesn't really make much sense to go and listen to her chunk there, since we were going and missing part of the story from the stage itself. So, she's got this straight laser, these extra shots, and then this Twilight Sanctuary, which is a defensive item for her. So we'll go ahead and level up the Twilight Sanctuary twice, and maybe this Tellus Rage. Here we are, Stage 2, the Crimson Porter. So already the game's ramped up the difficulty a little bit with the small fry ships going and firing off more shots than they did in the first stage. So we'll have to go and be a little bit on the careful side. effective at going and like canceling out shots, but it's kind of slow to get started. So anyway, that's one of her elemental, let's see, shots there, the one that kind of acts like a shield. I already drained it. Ooh. Okay, well, that goes and gives me an opportunity to go and describe one of the features that goes and makes this game both unique and potentially... Just go ahead and bomb this guy, that guy out of our way. Unique and controversial at the same time. So, one of the things that... that was not a very good run. Okay, well, we'll jump to a different character then. Let's do Caladrius itself. Basically, there's a clothing destruction system in play, where if you go and lose lives on your part, your character will go and take damage to their clothing and, like, ultimately, well, yeah, we'll just go and take... I didn't want to do that. Take damage to their clothing, and that'll go and also continue to persist and be displayed on the sidebar there. And the same will go and hold true for boss fights as well. As you go and defeat as you go and deal more damage to the boss, there'll go and be stages called shame breaks, where the clothing of the boss itself will go and be damaged. So, depending on how you feel about that sort of thing, it could go and be a possible plus or a minus to this game and your enjoyment of it. But it is possible to go and turn off those illustrations, as I've gone and done in the option screen. So, as you can see from here, we're definitely dealing with a little bit more of a bullet helly boss, even compared to the first one. Sacrificed a bomb just to go and help speed things up. That was bad on my part. Trying to remember which... there it is. So, most of the characters do have an elemental shoot that's capable of going and just going through like characters like mad here. So we'll go ahead and go with cover character Alex. Most of the characters do go and have an elemental shot that will go and cancel out the majority of enemy bullets. For Alex here, it's this flame chariot. Its pattern is awkward to go and use for actual shot defense, though, so not the best. Alex also goes and has this interesting flame lance that you can go and you can place, and this remains fixed, so it goes and deals good damage to certain parts of the screen, but unfortunately it doesn't move around. And then there's also this powerful piercing shot too, as I get lightning to death. Alright, that's the end of stage 2. So, as I was going and saying earlier, I absolutely love the mecha design of this game, and the bosses in particular, all of them are, I feel, great examples of like intricate 3D gothic mecha design. So if you're into that sort of thing especially, I could just go and recommend this game on like those points alone. I only got one ether chip to go and use, so we'll pump that into Flame Chivalry, the piercing shot. And move on to the bonus stage. So there's 2 bonus stages or mission stages throughout the course of the game in the Evolution and the Arcade mode, since those were originally introduced in the Arcade mode. In this one, our goal is to destroy as much of the forces as possible. We're trying to go and keep as much of the enemy from getting off the screen on the bottom as possible. I'm already not doing so great. I've let 1.7% on that first wave. And as you go and complete the waves, you also go and get some clothing damage on this character that we're going and fighting, or the leader of this like force on the right there. So your goal is displayed in the middle there at the top, so I need to go and keep the destruction above 80% for this one, for this section of the stage. And I achieved that. I'm at 92%. Now we're to the final section. And we just have to go and make sure we destroy, or like not let enough get away that we drop below 70. And I'm not even sure if that's possible at this point with this wave, so we should be good. Let's go and use bombs to blow them all up. Wow, I don't feel like I'm doing so great though. Yeah, that could have been better, but at the end, not too bad. And I get an extra bomb for my efforts, so it's definitely not a complete waste. Results. Kinda pleased with that one run through. Any stage where I don't lose any lives is a plus in my mind. And we got 3 ether chips for it, so go ahead and kind of even out everything, go and dump 2 more into the Heat Pierce and 1 more into the Brave Chariot. Onward to Stage 3, Wilderness Madness. Wow, those enemies are flying around in such a pattern that I can't even get to them before they're off the screen. Using the Flame Chariot to go and help guard myself from shots coming in from the left and right. Ah, dang it, I wouldn't used it all up. Blue boy. Ah, dang it, back to continue again. Alright, we'll go ahead and show off another character real quick. We'll go ahead and go with K, who is the only male in the playable character roster. So for his elemental shots, we've got this whirlwind that we can go and sweep back and forth in front of us. There's also this one where he goes and spawns tornadoes ahead of him to go and deal damage. Garbage. And this attack where he goes and throws wind blades out ahead of him. Oh, sweet. So his Hurricane goes and wipes... Or not Hurricane. His Cyclone goes and wipes enemy shots. So that's definitely powerful. Too bad I used it all. So since it does take a while for the bars to go and regenerate, it's wise to kind of keep your usage of the shots to a minimum. Only use them when you absolutely need to. There is also an overdrive special mode that you can go and engage, which basically goes and burns up all your gauges down to 100. Blast. Who haven't we got tried yet? We'll go ahead and go with Lilith. Her primary shot is just gigantic, powerful laser. What do we have for elemental shots here? That's her bomb. This actually has a really neat effect to it. So there's this wipe. Now it looks like it goes and wipes the enemy shots as well, so that's kind of neat. This side shot where it places itself at the level that you're at. Okay, we're to stage 3's boss. And wow, this shot which goes and fires out several, hopefully I'm assuming high-powered shots from the sides of your ship. So I believe going and getting a successful shame break against the bosses is time related. So we'll see if we can go and take out the boss a little bit faster this run through. So this particular boss is a great design as far as the mecha itself is concerned, you know, nice. Dang it, yet another continue. Is there any characters I haven't gone shown? 20 and let's see, Lias. Let's go ahead and go with Lias. And since her element is steel, she's got some interesting attacks. Although many of them are short range, like this one that goes and thrusts out spears ahead of her. Arts her bomb. Alright, didn't get to go and show off a couple of Lias's other elemental shots, but she had one that has she has one where you go and have chainsaw blades in front of you, and then another where she's got daggers going and flying around her that go and cancel out the enemy shots, since it's all the characters have at least one that's kind of defensive.
Well, there we have it. Caladrius Blaze. Cooked up for your enjoyment, or at least so I hope. So, who would I go and recommend this to as an import? I definitely feel that if you're a fan of other MOS shooters, specifically the Raiden series, I can't go and recommend this game enough. It goes and takes so much of what those games goes and does, but with all the different characters and all the different options you have as far as the elemental shots and everything, it's got so much content there and so much replayability that it's an easy recommend on that criteria alone. And the same goes if you're just a fan of shoot-em-ups. There's a lot there to go and be able to go and enjoy. You know, if you don't like bullet hell shoot-em-ups as much, then that could go and be a point against it, but for the most part, those are the kind of shoot-em-ups we generally get these days, so you can't go really wrong that way. Also, if you're a fan of the character designs, especially from the character designer Suzuhito Yasuda, who's also gone and worked on the Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor games for the DS, 3DS, and the series Durarara. I think I said that right. I would definitely go and recommend checking out this game if you're a big fan of his art. That said, one thing that might go and possibly be a point against the game for some people would go and be the clothing destruction that's present in there. Although it's not that big of a deal to me, for some people it could go and be one of those things that you wouldn't appreciate having in one of your shoot-em-ups. And if that's the case, if you did want to go and pick up the title still, it's possible, as I was mentioning in my video earlier, to go and just turn those illustrations off so that you don't have to go and have them there. That said, I definitely go and give this one a solid recommendation. If you are the least bit interested in importing into shoot-em-ups, I highly recommend you go and pick this up. Alright, thank you so much for going and joining me for another Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and I hope to go and see you again.